factor, the escrow, is frequently the main deterrent for individuals to avoid purchasing XRP. Many people assume that because Ripple controls the escrow, the network is centralized and therefore XRP isn't decentralized. I've talked a lot with people about why they don't invest in an SRP, particularly those who aren't in the cryptocurrency bubble. They will not touch XRP, but they do hold Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. I ask, of course, why? Responses almost always return to the same misunderstanding. Either Ripple owns the network, thus XRP must be worthless, or they believe Ripple is always pushing XRP onto the market, which is completely untrue. Now, let's discuss the XRP escrow. Consider it the war chest of Ripple. Yes, 1 billion coins are unlocked by Ripple every month. People are terrified that when Ripple sells, the price of XRP will plummet, but let's take a moment to consider this more carefully. There is more to the situation than meets the eye. If we really look at how the escrow is handled, let's take a moment to discuss the amount of escrowed XRP that is available before getting into the specifics. Out of the 99.98 billion XRP that are available, over 36.5 billion are currently locked away. Indeed, we are able to follow these escrow wallets. As you scroll down, you'll see a list of all the escrows with additional information. However, the Ripple wallets should be the main focus. Since they are usually identified as Ripples, they are simple to identify. Is this a huge deal now? Is it concerning that Ripple has such a huge supply in escrow? Is Xpro centralized as a result? Not at all. Keep in mind that this supply is escrowed. Until it is released, it is totally locked, and to individual business to support the growth of cryptocurrencies is owning sizable holdings of them. Imagine Michael Saylor's unrelenting support of Bitcoin or the Ethereum gang in those shady ICO days. If they had no significant stakes, would they still have been so noisy? Probably not. Now think about this. A former insider of Ripple who oversaw XRP markets and liquidity initiatives explains why Ripple's substantial XRP holdings are revolutionary for the adoption of both Ripple and XRP. Are you curious about the true significance of this close relationship? See how everything comes together in the video below. I didn't just make this up as a theory. It is founded on information directly from insiders at Ripple. The scoop is as follows. Miguel noted that Ripple has a distinct edge due to their enormous XRP reserves. Professional market makers can borrow XRP from Ripple at unmatched rates, unlike Bitcoin. Economics. First of all, lending XRP to others so they can supply liquidity in markets is one method I fulfill my job of creating liquidity. You must have cash on hand in order to make an offer to a bidder in the market. You must have the item you can sell if you wish to sell it. Basically, you can only sell something if you own it or borrow it. Borrowing is quite difficult in the Bitcoin ecosystem. It costs a lot. Interest rates range from 10% to 15% annually, and finding large loans is challenging. However, you can simply approach us and say, hey, I'd like to borrow some XRP. We're really skilled marketers. We are capable of doing something that no one else is. We can guarantee the rates and the flow I outlined, where some of these buyers get compensated to move and sell it. But you're bridging between two fiat currencies. Everyone questions me. 2 hops, 2 spreads, and a crossing are required. However, the liquidity is poor and bottomless. No issue, I'll make up the difference for you. I'm very much in the center of rest to make sure you do that if you are going to cross this rail. And it is costly because utility increases with liquidity. Principle, the more valuable our individuals become over time. Therefore, we were very much of the opinion that all those wealthy people will eventually disappear. As a result, I will see our structures as superior. If they are skeptical about everything, I don't give a damn. Indeed, it places us in a very strong position to genuinely engage these children. This is exactly where he is, without a question. When discussing decentralization, it's simple to draw inferences based on figures like 36 billion. You might initially think, wow, 36 billion. Let's dissect it. Ripple has a huge portion, which is undoubtedly centralized rather than decentralized. Ethereum and Bitcoin are frequently the subject of the same debate. For instance, those who argue that Bitcoin is decentralized may overlook the major participants. Examine the mining firms. Major shareholders of the majority of the top ones include Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock. These well-known names can even be found in Bitcoin ETFs. Therefore, centralization arguments frequently boil down to who is actually in charge behind the scenes, regardless of whether the discussion is about XRP, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. Okay, so now some of the largest companies in the game are entering the Bitcoin ETF space, including industry titans BlackRock and Fidelity. Is Bitcoin centralized by default then? Yes, some may say. The argument begins to gather traction when you consider that the majority of the hash rate power is controlled by just 3 or 4 miners. Well, not to mention the distribution of wallets. It's understandable why people might doubt decentralization when the top 10 or even the top 100 wallets control such a large portion of the supply. The problem is that discussions regarding centralization versus decentralization in the cryptocurrency space frequently go completely out of control and produce more noise than insight. XRP's success is undeniable, and it has endured over time. Its usefulness and Ripple's unwavering support for it are what have contributed to its longevity. It is evident that Ripple has put in a lot of effort over the years to establish XRP as a significant participant. Crypto Ariel provides us with an intriguing update in the meanwhile. Clips from SBI Audio's May 9th shareholder presentation. The scoop is as follows. Ripple Labs XRP kept in escrow will not be included in the company's valuation until a definitive one is reached, perhaps through an IPO or something comparable. Additionally, Ripple has a mountain of unrealized gains. Curious? Go ahead and take a look. Unlisted shares are used in the lab. Until a precise valuation is established by an IPO or other method, the value of XRP held in escrow by Ripple Lab will not be included in the corporate value. The profit will increase and reach an incredible level if it is included. Thus, there were almost $900 billion 0 cents in private equity assets under administration. For the crypto asset industry, we want to get it as near to 1 trillion as we can. As previously said, this performance is at its highest level since Mr. Trump's inauguration. We appreciate that the US has been paying close attention to the cryptocurrency asset market. Our investment in Ripple, which is currently producing significant amount of unrealized profits, was made more than 10 years ago. The unrealized profits will be released if it is listed, and I have no doubt that it will easily surpass 1 trillion yen. Thus, this is something that could occur. Although it seems a bit premature to move on to these sections, it wasn't. The number of people who comprehend how we operate has decreased. Not even our staff fully comprehend our business, or thus perhaps general. Our business is not fully understood by investors. We haven't made an investment in a firm called Ripple in perhaps 10 years. What is the current status of this investment? Then a huge amount of wealth is currently being made from this. XRP is money that Ripple has issued. XRP is currently trading at a market value of around 20 trillion yen. This amounts to 58.55 billion XRP, or 20 trillion in market capitalization. Furthermore, Ripple's holdings are investigating. We strategically buy and sell to affect world pricing. By using our reserves, we can protect the dollar in the changing digital economy with both offensive and defensive tools. It's fascinating what we're implying here. It is theoretically possible to give a specific value to XRP. Now, think about it. Wouldn't banks want to keep XRP's market price low if they adopted Ripple and had to purchase it? And wouldn't XRP's limited supply and inability to be minted hinder its wider adoption? David Schwartz said no in response to this. Actually, the amount of XRP needed to pay $1 million 0 cents will always be the same. The truth is completely different from what you might anticipate. Greater liquidity is frequently correlated with higher prices, which results in cheaper payment costs. In essence, an asset with a high price becomes a more effective tool for managing payments, particularly in high value transactions. Here's the crucial query though. Could XRP become so popular that its price is purposefully controlled or manipulated to guarantee more liquidity and less expensive payments? It's not as unrealistic as it seems. This situation might easily come to pass given XRP's reserves and clout. Imagine a system with soaring liquidity, smooth payments, and almost zero transaction costs. Interesting, isn't it? Let's examine